Okay, welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes with dailystraits.com. In this episode, we break away from our usual entrepreneurial chit chat and speak to an MD of ecostore New Zealand, Pablo Kraus. ecostore is a leading environmental and sustainable brand in New Zealand that focuses on home, body, and baby products. In 1993, Malcolm and Melanie Rands started an eco store in a small New Zealand eco village as they were on a mission to help families care for their homes, their health, and the world. Wanting to support this mission, the Kraus family initially became involved with the business in 2003 before completing an ownership transfer in 2015. Fast forward to today, the company is now held by Pablo, who was born in Germany and raised in Auckland. Pablo initially worked as a interactive developer for 5 years in Vancouver, Canada, before joining his family business PK Group in 2014 and eventually taking over the reins of the company from thereon. So today we are fortunate to be able to speak to Pablo about the ins and outs of managing a successful business such as his. Without further ado, let's welcome Pablo to the show. Hi, Pablo. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show today. Looking forward to speaking with you and going through some of the questions you might have.
Yes, thank you. Let's dive right straight into the question. Yours is a family helm business. Your father migrated from Germany to Auckland, and the story was that he visited a shop and then he came out and he saw Eco Village and said, "Hang on, this is something that I wanted to do forever." And he went in, and the next thing you know, you guys are owners of that store. And then at that time you were in Vancouver, you were working, and you're pretty much on your own. So your father approached you and wanted you to be a part of the business. What was your initial reaction to that?
Look, well, I was always really interested in what was happening at EcoStore. So I remember, every phone conversation or conversation that I had with my father was, how's EcoStore going? What's happening? How's it growing? What's happening there? So when I moved back to New Zealand and I had a bit of time here, and he reached out and asked, do you want to come and work in the family business? It was kind of quite exciting for me. So, it was at a point in my career where I wanted to try something new and I wanted to learn about business, and really took that on board and took it with gusto to become a director initially at a company and learn from some great people.
Okay, great. So as a former creative, because you were an interactive developer, so what was the first thing you did to learn about running a business?
As I mentioned, I was really lucky to have some great mentors and work with some great people that were already within the business. So I took some time to learn and absorb. I went through all parts of the business, from going out to the manufacturing facility to the warehouse, and just learned and absorbed a lot, I guess, over those first few years. And I was also worked very closely on a lot of the hiring process for a lot of our employees and staff. So um, something that I was always very passionate about was obviously the creative side, and I sort of took pretty naturally to a new product development process and understanding what works for our consumers, which was really, I guess, quite exciting for me to be learning a whole bunch, but also be able to apply a lot of my creative skills to the business as well.
Okay, did you find reading balance sheets or anything to do with profit and losses a challenge? This is because I just took look at you and looked at your previous qualification. Didn't say that you had a business degree, but because you grew up in a family of doing business, maybe it was different for you. How did you approach that?
Yeah, I think once I threw myself into the business, I actually started to do many short courses on financials, how to read the balance sheet. I also basically did my real world MBA, and learning with the mentors that I had around me and working with the managers that we had to be able to identify and look at different challenges within the balance sheet and find out, be able to delve deeper into why things happen and why things aren't happening. So a combination of learning through short courses as well as on the job was hugely beneficial, particularly because I was able to put those into practice while I was already working there.
Awesome, awesome. So, okay, so we were speaking earlier on, and you did say that you had other siblings, but at the moment you're the only one who's in the business. So, so I'm actually from Asia, and in Asia, when they do family business like this, they actually give a very rigorous process for the next of kin because they want to
Mm.
make sure that you really can do the job before they give you the work. So in your case, you eased into the MD position after several years being in the business as a director. Was it an easy transition for you? Did your part your I mean basically did your father put you through many loops and tasks before he actually gave you the post, or were you up against other qualified people, but then you emerged in the end as the best candidate?
Yeah, look, when I originally started working in the family business, I guess I didn't necessarily have the intention to be running ecostore. So, um, as I was in the business for a few years, it came to a point where we actually started to we bought out that last ownership of the shares in the company, and there was a transition and change in leadership. And um, at the time, like I said, I was very much involved with a lot of our marketing decisions, manufacturing decisions, our hiring decisions. So I was very much, I guess, groomed very well into the position. And at the time, I was a little bit nervous, of course, to take on the challenges being the CEO. However, I was also very excited, and I knew that more than anyone, I probably knew the business better than anybody else, given my experience and also having the close relationship as being a family business. We're able to move very nimbly and be able to act and, I guess, act with what the shareholders want to do.
Awesome, great. So, okay, so let's go to the business. This is all about you just now. Would
Yeah.
you say that you faced any challenges in running the business during COVID?
um, it was definitely a challenge, but I guess I'm very grateful for the team that we had. We very quickly adapted to working from home. Pretty much overnight, we managed to have our shift workers and our manufacturing and in our warehousing to continue work while we're at lockdown at home. Having to work through the challenges of getting PPE and all of that. Um, were challenges. However, we we had some of our biggest sales months ever over that time as well, and that was due to massive demand of people lining up at supermarkets, cleaning and buying their products because they're sort of nervous about what's to come. And I guess really proud of how the company and the team were able to pull together to be able to deliver on those. So the challenge was there, but because of the team and how we were able to accept the challenge and move through, quite well. We have had some supply chain issues where we have had different components. For example, our spray cleaners, we had to use a slightly different spray cleaner to put onto them because we couldn't get them. And we just communicated that really well with customers. We had stickers on packs saying, unfortunately, as a result, we've had to do this. So yeah, a few challenges, but grateful that we've been able to make it through.
Awesome. So the business is actually products, right? A whole range of baby products, home care, and also like body wash and stuff like that, right? So these
Yeah.
three components. And is it all 100% made in New Zealand, or do you outsource like maybe some of the parts, like the, I don't know, packaging?
Yeah, so we have home, body, baby products. So we do 95% of our own manufacturing we're in a facility here in Pakuranga here in New Zealand. Um, we because of who we are and what we do, we set out to make products that are safer for you and safer for your family. So we actually hold ourselves to an incredibly high standard because our products need to be good for you and your family, but also they need to be good for the environment. But also what I think often people forget is that products actually need to work, otherwise people aren't going to buy them. So we've got we take great pride in our manufacturing facility. It's an ISO 9001. It's one of the most eco factories in the southern hemisphere, and we're incredibly proud to be able to manufacture out of it.
Okay, so what was the hiccups? Like, what was it when you said something about them not coming from, you had to put the stickers on the back. What was that for?
Yeah, so for example, we had, we have a multi-purpose spray cleaner, and we couldn't get the spray, the
Oh,
what's called
okay.
the component. We couldn't
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't source that because the supply chain had slowed right down. So what we did is we had a different one which didn't look as nice, but what we did
Mm.
is we communicated that with a sticker on pack. Hey, this is only temporary. This is happening as a result of having some supply chain issues, and we're able to communicate that well. Um,
No
yeah,
worries. So only 5% is from overseas, right? 5% of the
yeah.
business, mainly from where? China?
No, actually, between we're actually just changing suppliers, going from Denmark to Italy, and we're changing to these are our dish tablets because they manufacture the best of the dish tablets in the world.
Oh, okay, great. All
And then
right,
we have
Pablo.
also have and then we also use local supply here to do our toothpaste in our oral care range, a local
Awesome, awesome.
manufacturer.
Okay. So what is happening this year? Because I was just wondering, there was an interview you did in 2017, I think, with staff, and you wanted to sit alongside with Unilever one day. So I just wanted to, and Unilever is like another major product. Like they have the whole range of shampoos and stuff like that. And what is the progress on that? So in New Zealand itself, right, what is your market share?
So New Zealand, it's very different to a lot of other countries. You know, if you walk down the aisle supermarket here, the environmental space actually gets a third, or if not a half the amount of aisle space compared to other countries. For example, in Australia, there might be a few different products there. So in New Zealand, um, we're kind of ahead of where everyone else is. And when we look at where we want to be against the Unilevers, in New Zealand, we are certainly winning that game in terms of having the best products that are safer for you and your family, as well as taking up, the most shelf space here in New Zealand. It's the next steps is how do we start to take on the world? How do we make sure that we are formally recognized around the world when they think of products that are better for the environment, that they start to think of ecostore?
All right. So, what is the market share? So, what's your reach in New Zealand?
So in New Zealand, we have something like 80% unprompted awareness. So that means that 1 in 8 and 10 people, if you walked up to them on the side of the road and asked them about if they'd heard of any eco products, EcoStore is one of the brands that would pop to top of mind.
Awesome. And where are you at in the moment? So, in how many countries do your products are your products available?
So we're in, I think it's 11 or 12 countries, with New Zealand, Australia being our largest markets. Then China is not far behind there, and then Japan. Then we're across Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, um, and Taiwan. Yeah, a number of predominantly Asia Pacific.
Awesome, awesome. So, this year, right? Any expansion plans for the year, new offerings, or are you going to just stick with what you have and expand your reach?
Look, a lot of the innovation, when EcoStore was founded, it was founded about creating products that were better for your health and the environment. Um, a lot of the new innovation now is how do we actually how do we look after the packaging? How do we ensure that the packaging that our beautiful products are in are not having an impact on the environment? A number of years ago, we set out and we found a plastic that was made from sugarcane, and we used that to put up into our bottles. So that actually captures carbon from the atmosphere as opposed to a regular petrochemical plastic. So the innovation this year is around, how can we actually make products that don't require plastic, or how can we actually close the loop on that and actually start to look after our own waste, which is sort of the next level.
So you the same products is only the packaging that you want to change to make it more eco-friendly, right?
Yes, I mean, so it's interesting. Like I said, we into a new category in terms of hair care bars. So hair care bars, instead of having your regular shampoo and conditioner, actually goes into a bar format. So it's a different product in a different format, but it's the same sort of thing. We've got over, I think, close to 100 refill stations around the country now. And that's like an old innovation, which is becoming popular, where people are able to come back and refill their bottles and reuse them again and again.
You said you had a hair into bars, and that's the new offering that you have. How many products do you have in total?
I think we have close to 150 different SKUs, which is different sizes and fragrances of a number of different products. We're across 10 or 11 different categories.
Awesome. And that's enough for now. There's no more new offerings. Like, I don't know, you want to go into something else?
Um, Not at the moment, but we're always keeping an eye on new categories. But we have
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about you. Oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, you
sure.
have. Sorry.
I was going to say we have
Sorry, you have
like
something?
yes, we have like a 2-year innovation pipeline plan. So new products are coming out all the time, and we always look out to the market to see what's coming and what's changing.
Okay, great. All right. There are some questions that I wanted to ask you about before we go to the fact that I wanted to ask you if there's plans to make it listed in the stock market. I wanted to ask you about your management style. So this is a business, a family business that's very dear to your heart because it was started by your father, and then it has a lot of family thing alongside it. So how do you run it? Do you run it professionally, or do you run it? Is your company like a family thing? Like, is everyone who works there, are they all is it a family like kind of a atmosphere, or do you aim to run it in a very professional way? What is your management style basically? So when you come into the office daily, right, how do you run the company? Like, what do you do the first thing in the morning?
Yeah, so I like to schedule my week. So I have one day where I try to meet everybody, and then I have different management meetings, whether it's a sales meeting or a marketing meeting with the different teams as well once a week. I like to the style that I've got is the culture that we have is very much a family business, but we're very much a professional business with goals and ambitions to take on the world. So um, my style is probably more around empowerment and having people that are really great at what they do, and help with my help to guide where we go in the future, I guess.
So, are you grooming any of your siblings or maybe your children to take over the business one day? Is it always going to be a family business, or do you have aspirations to put it on the market and become like Unilever because they are listed?
Mm. That's a big question. So I've had my brother come and work with me and work for me for a while, my younger brother, but now he's actually been stuck overseas, and he is working in Europe. So he's not here at the moment, and my other siblings are probably far too young to start in the business yet, but they're very much, and my children as well. They're 6 and 8 at school at the moment, and my daughter's now the environmental monitor at school. So she's taking, some of those things that she's learned from her dad, hopefully, and applying that to her school and her peers there.
Awesome. So, any aspirations to go to the market one day, or is this going to be 100% like, a family run business?
Look, it's hard to say. We're very much a family business, but I think that you never know. One day there might be the opportunity for us to continue and actually have a guardian for the business long term, is by opening it up and having more people involved in it. So there's no hurry to change that right now, but got to keep an open mind.
So, who is your competitor in New Zealand besides the guys from overseas? Like, do you have a direct competitor?
Yeah, I think more and more there are competitors that are popping up here in New Zealand. We often like to compare ourselves to the mainstream players, because right now, for you to be able to operate in business, the green space is becoming the main space. And if you're not, whether you're a Unilever or Procter and Gamble, and you're not changing the way you do business, or how you treat your employees, to what your sustainability guidelines and practice are, then you're really going to start to get left behind.
Okay, great. So is your father still involved in the day-to-day businesses, or are you the only one that's running it?
So he's not involved in the day-to-day, but he's very much still a director, and we still have our meetings once a month or sometimes every 2 months, and he helps with the guiding and direction of where we're going.
Okay, so it's just that I did a bit of research on your family. It says that it came out as that the family is very well off. So, and then you bought this business. I was just wondering, do you have any other businesses that you're running in Auckland, or is this just the one?
Yes, we do. So we've got another business called Chantal Organics, and Chantal Organics is an organic wholesale business. We sell everything from produce, organic produce, to organic canned tomatoes. We manufacture our own organic mueslis and peanut butter, and it's all really consuming food that you consume. So very much products that are good for your health and good for the environment as well. Organic products. Yeah, we've also got five retail stores, which are Huckleberry Organics, and that's where they're organic stores, like organic grocery stores, throughout, mostly in Auckland, but then we have a couple around the country as well.
Awesome. So why did your father moved from Germany to New Zealand back in the day? Did he tell you why? Because you have a Spanish name, and that's because your father stayed there for a bit. And
Mm,
I just wondered, it was very early on when he moved to New Zealand many years ago. Now a lot of people are interested in New Zealand because of the panoramic views and stuff like that. But what was his decision back then? Why did he
mm.
move?
So I think he was successful in his own right with his own business at the time. He had an air conditioning in engineering business that he grew, and then he had younger kids, and he was looking, I guess, for a better life, and came across New Zealand and sold up the business there. And the children were at a young enough age that they were still able to migrate and move. So it was really about lifestyle choice and finding, discovering how beautiful New Zealand was, which was what brought him down here. And yeah,
Great. So, any aspirations to be the next Aldi? Because Aldi is German and they're privately held. And do you have that kind
yeah,
of goal?
it's definitely a company that my father often references as Aldi, and how amazing they are and what a good job they're doing. So um, we would love to be the next Aldi.
So, how do you talk to your dad? In German or in English?
Mostly in English, but then occasionally we have German conversations. And um, I'm very lucky that when I was younger, my parents both spoke German to me, and I would answer back in English, but now it's still stuck with me all the way through.
That's great. So, this year for the next couple of months, is there any new things exciting things that's going to take over ecostore? Like, anything um, earth-shattering?
Earth shattering. We have So in the last couple of months, we have launched what we call new refill. So refill cleaners. So highly concentrated cleaners. Instead of having to buy the whole packaging, you can buy cleaners that are just small, and you buy that and fill up your bottle with water, and then you've got the cleaners again. We're also launching our new toothpaste, which is a toothpaste with fluoride, which doesn't have any of the nasties, but it's got fluoride to help you with protection as well. So yeah, that's kind of the next month or two that's coming out.
Awesome. So finally, what is your best-selling product and why?
Our best-selling product. There's a number of them, but I could say that we're very strong with our dish liquid, and I think our dish liquid is very strong because people are looking for something that really works, and also they quite like the way that our product looks. So often can be sitting on the bench at home, and they're very proud and happy with it. So it sells really well across all of our markets.
Okay, great. And that is all the time that we have for today. We have just been speaking to Pablo Kraus, the Managing Director of ecostore New Zealand. Thank you, Pablo, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
The pleasure is all ours. Be sure to join us next week where we interview another awesome individual from across the Tasman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.